Hello all you freedom-loving people. China's new AI DeepSeek was the buzzword of the day, but President Trump is planning for Stargate AI and an Iron Dome, so the military needs to be ready and not in transition. Okay, let's get into it. A Chinese artificial intelligence company called DeepSeek is making waves on Wall Street. On January 20th, DeepSeek launched the DeepSeek R1 AI model, which was manufactured at a very low cost of only $6 million. By comparison, OpenAI, Google, and other major US companies are on track to invest a total of roughly $1 trillion in AI over the coming years, according to Goldman Sachs. Although DeepSeek AI uses only 2,000 chips, its performance is comparable to that of OpenAI 01. This latest AI app, DeepSeek, has surged in popularity among US users. It became the highest rated free app on the App Store. AFP reported that DeepSeek can be used on cell phones or desktop computers and has many of the features of its Western competitors, such as writing lyrics, assisting with personal development plans, and even generating dinner recipes based on what's in the fridge. But like many Chinese chatbots, DeepSeek has some limitations. When asked about Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping or the Beijing's authorities' Xinjiang policy, it asked AFP to talk about something else. However, from writing complex programs to solving difficult calculations, DeepSeek is no less capable than its competitors, and this has surprised the industry. It also raises questions in the industry as to whether AI requires hundreds of billions of dollars in capital expenditure. Noah's Ark Capital Management, a U.S. private investment fund, claimed that the models developed by DeepSeek significantly reduce AI training costs. Venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, a close advisor to President Trump, described it as an AI's Sputnik moment. The Sputnik moment refers to the Soviet Union's launch of the Sputnik 1 satellite ahead of the United States, symbolizing the beginning of the Cold War space race. So, will the rise of DeepSeek affect its fellow AI giant NVIDIA? Wall Street thinks yes, and DeepSeek could undermine market expectations for the demand of NVIDIA's AI chips. In actuality, this has caused global companies like chip makers, infrastructure providers, and power stocks that are leading the AI wave to lose their footing while investors question the future of AI spending. NVIDIA shares plunged more than 16% at 1 p.m. on Monday, evaporating more than $600 billion in market value and dimming one of the stock market's brightest stars in recent months. Broadcom fell 18.4%, Marvel fell 17.9%, and Micron fell 12.7%. And the tech-heavy NASDAQ fell 3.4%. Shares of Microsoft and Google's parent company Alphabet both fell more than 3%, and bond prices rose as investors sought refuge. However, Japanese media personality and China expert Akio Yaban believes that behind DeepSeek's extraordinary performance, it's very likely that it is a part of a major foreign propaganda campaign launched by the Chinese Communist authorities. Akio Yaban analyzed that DeepSeek is a new company. Founded in Hangzhou in 2023, its registered capital is only 10 million RMB, which is equivalent to about $1.5 million. But its background is very mysterious. And it's not hard to imagine that there must be the state power of the Chinese Communist Party behind it. Therefore, he believes that the low cost, as publicized by the Chinese side, may be true or it may be false, and it needs to be fully verified. According to Akio Yaban, it is because the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is too fond of faking everything. As early as 20 years ago, the CCP announced that it had developed a high-performance chip called Hanshin. It was touted by the Chinese official media for several years, but it turned out to be a sham. Last year, the Chinese media reported a 17-year-old high school vocational student majoring in apparel won the 12th place in the world in the Alibaba Global Math Contest, but it was revealed that there was a math teacher behind it who helped with the forgery. Akio Yaban finds it hard to believe that In a country where everyone has to learn the quotations of the leader of the Chinese Communist Party and where there is no freedom of thought or expression, a company is continually innovative and leading the world in technology development. Goulet Ban concluded by emphasizing that it has been pointed out that DeepSeek actually uses a lot of Phaedrus technology. If that's the case, its cost must not be too low. It's possible that the CCP authorities are secretly giving a large number of subsidies under the surface to DeepSeek. DeepSeek's AI app has also raised concerns in the White House, Congress, and the tech community about US-China AI competition. President Trump said on Monday, the release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing. President Trump considers the low-cost model to be very much a positive development for AI overall because instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less, and you'll come up with hopefully the same solution. However, many national leaders have also noted that DeepSeek raises cybersecurity concerns, with Australian Science Minister Ed Husic urging caution. He told ABC there are a lot of questions that will need to be answered in time on quality, consumer preferences, data, and privacy management. President Trump wants the U.S. to remain competitive with Beijing in developing artificial intelligence. Obviously, the US-China AI competition will become more intense now. David Sachs, President Trump's White House AI and cryptocurrency czar, said on X that DeepSeek's success shows that the AI race will be very competitive. In October of 2023, Biden issued an AI executive order aimed at strengthening the federal government's oversight of AI security. This policy was opposed by Republicans from the start, and on January 20th, President Trump announced on his inauguration day that he was rescinding Biden's executive order. This signaled a major shift in the direction of AI regulation in the United States. However, President Trump retained an updated order that was recently issued by the Biden administration. This order calls for providing support for rapidly growing AI data centers to meet their enormous energy needs, and it requires leasing of sites owned by the Department of Defense and Energy. In order for the Trump administration to get control of the development of AI, last Tuesday, President Trump and executives from OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank Group announced at the White House the formation of Stargate. It's a new AI joint venture with the U.S. that received a $500 billion investment and will invest $100 billion in private funding for new data centers to power AI projects. Markets expect President Trump to double down on investments in U.S. manufacturing related to artificial intelligence. President Trump may use the tariffs to increase China's economic pain while slowing down DeepSeek's development. President Trump told the House Republican Conference on Monday that he would soon impose tariffs on foreign drugs, semiconductors, and metals. On Monday, President Trump signed an executive order to start building an Iron Dome air defense system for the United States, like the one that Israel has used to intercept thousands of missiles. At a Republican congressional retreat in Miami, President Trump said, "We need to immediately begin the construction of a state-of-the-art Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will be able to protect Americans." The executive order calls for the development of air defense systems to protect Americans against long-range threats such as ballistic, hypersonic, advanced cruise missiles, and other next-generation aerial attacks from peer, near-peer, and rogue adversaries. The executive order urges the adoption of an array of advanced space-based systems to detect and shoot down projectiles that attack the United States. This system will be made right here in the USA. But the order does not reveal how much the defense system will cost or outline the timetable for its development. The U.S. has deployed a range of missile defense systems, including THAAD, as well as Aegis and Patriot missile defense systems on warships and ground-based interceptors. But the U.S. Department of Defense has struggled to develop a system that would provide defense for the entire United States. Given that the U.S. territory is much larger than Israel's, any defense system that could cover the entire U.S. would have to go far beyond the reach of Israel's Iron Dome system. Yesterday, we mentioned one of President Trump's executive orders that abolishes the DEI program in the military, and another one of President Trump's new executive orders bans transgender people from joining the military. The new order establishes new military standards on pronoun use and gender identity, and it outright bans transgender soldiers from serving. The executive order emphasizes that the military will strictly enforce physical fitness requirements and that anyone who is unable to achieve toughness, strength, and the ability to withstand extreme physical demands is unfit for service. The physical effects of transgender-related treatments can diminish military readiness. Transgender surgery typically requires a 12-month recovery period with heavy anesthetics and ongoing medical care. This state of affairs is inconsistent with the high standards of readiness that the military demands of its soldiers. The new order directs the DoD to update its guidance regarding trans-identifying medical standards for military service and to rescind guidance inconsistent with military readiness. While there are no definitive statistics on the exact number of transgender members of the U.S. military, it's estimated that about 14,700 service members identify as transgender, according to a 2018 report by the Palm Center. When President Trump took office, he signed a series of executive orders, including officially recognizing only two genders. There is only the male and female genders. In 2022, the Biden administration allowed for the addition of an option on U.S. passports to use an X to denote a non-traditional sense of male or female. State Department officials told reporters that U.S. passports will revert to the traditional use of the word sex for biological sex, rather than the broader grammatical term gender. The officials said that this was because sex is innate and cannot be changed. President Trump has temporarily paused all federal grant, loan, and other financial assistance programs. However, the temporary pause will not affect Social Security or Medicare benefits. The pause also does not include assistance provided directly to individuals. A memo from Matthew Vaith, the acting director of the Office of Management and Budget, directs federal agencies to conduct a comprehensive analysis of all financial assistance programs to determine whether they are aligned with the executive order signed by President Trump on January 20th. In the interim, federal agencies must temporarily pause all activities related to obligation or disbursement of all federal financial assistance. Vaith stated in his memo that the pause will allow the government more time to review agency programs and determine the best uses of funding for these programs that is consistent with the law and President Trump's priorities. The memo requires agencies to submit detailed information on all programs and activities subject to the pause by February 10th. Agencies must identify legally mandated actions or deadlines for assistance programs before completing the analysis. One of the executive orders that was referenced in Vaith's memo called for the removal of policies and programs related to DEI within the federal government. This order requires federal agencies within 60 days of the order's issuance to terminate all offices and positions that are related to environmental justice, as well as any equity-focused action plans, grants, and contracts. Today, the White House press briefing room was full from wall to wall for President Trump's new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt's first briefing. In order to share President Trump's message everywhere and to adapt the White House to the new media landscape, Leavitt unveiled a new media seat.
Millions of Americans, especially young people, have turned from traditional television outlets and newspapers to consume their news from podcasts, blogs, social media, and other independent outlets. It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. To do this, I am excited to announce the following changes will be made to this historic James S. Brady briefing room, where Mr. Brady's legacy will endure. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. And you can apply now on our new website, whitehouse.gov/newmedia. Starting today, this seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
When Levitt was asked if President Trump is focused exclusively on deporting violent criminals and not those who are only guilty of being in the states illegally, Levitt had to remind that all illegal immigrants will be deported. Both groups will be included.
NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore, you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, it's not violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
Levitt also made it clear that illegal immigration will no longer be tolerated in America.
By using every lever of his federal power, President Trump has sent a loud and clear message to the entire world. America will no longer tolerate illegal immigration. And this president expects that every nation on this planet will cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens.
And before opening up for questions, Levitt revealed that the drones that were seen flying over New Jersey were given the green light by the FAA for what they called research purposes.
And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office. From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth.